Hey everybody, it's another Wednesday night. Welcome back to the show. So I gotta admit, the whole idea for this show I kinda ripped off. Actually, I ripped it off of Martin. Martin does a show called The Contrarians, and I believe I have the link below. It's a show that he does with another gentleman, and I watched the show recently, and they were talking about, they were agreeing on their least favorite Kiss record, and I thought, you know what? There's so many top tens, and I've done top 10 Kiss albums shows before, and I thought, you know, let's look at it maybe from a different perspective. Instead of our top 10, let's look at maybe our least 5 favorite. You know, something a little bit different. So, and I thought, let's bring Martin on. And my best buddy Mike, who's been on all the Kiss shows I've done thus far, because Mike is a massive Kiss fan. So I thought, why not let's bring those two gentlemen on and let's discuss that. What our least 5 favorite Kiss records are. So without further ado, here we have Martin. And
hey, how you doing, Hack?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
How are you?
Good, man. Good.
Roll.
I thought this show would be a lot of fun. You know, just like, again, I like I said at the opening, I totally admit I ripped this off. I ripped this idea off of Martin. But anyway, so Martin, I'm going to ask you. So I mean, Mike and I, we've done shows in the past. We've talked about our love for Kiss, how we got into Kiss. But for yourself, what's your history with the band? What got you interested in the band? And
well, one of the cool things about me and Kiss is that they were the first band that I got into when I became woke about music. So it was literally, 73 into 74. So in 1974, I was 11 years old. I kind of already knew a little bit about that debut album. I can't remember where, but arriving at that debut, knowing a little bit about music and anticipating that record. So the first record is a new release. The other bands that I got into in, say, 73 or 74, Nazareth, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, had albums out already. So this was the first band I got into as a new release.
Right.
Bang, record number 1. I remember joining the Kiss Army in 1976. Off of Destroyer. Mm-hmm. And literally, I've been around for every Kiss album as a new release. People say, are you ever going to do a Kiss book? And I go, I really don't have enough interviews. I've talked to a few of the guys a few of the times, but there are so many Kiss books out there. I don't think so. But one type I've always thought is chart that story of just very, very semi-autobiographical against all the Kiss albums and all the trends that they went through and music went through throughout the years, and just like chart this whole life of becoming woke about music, in 1974 at 11 years old and being there all the way up until now, 2021, with this band. So that's when I got into them.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's funny. I was one of the guys that asked you, how come you haven't done a Kiss book yet?
Yeah. It's true.
I was one of them. So I want to thank, we got 34 folks in here already. I want to welcome everybody. As we go through this, one thing that would very much help, if you have comments as we go through the show, I am, just so you know, I am streaming this to both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So, and I'm watching the StreamYard chat, and unfortunately they don't have that highlight ability. So if you would throw a bunch of question marks in front of your question or comment as we go through the show, I will do my best to keep an eye on those. Yeah. So I don't know how difficult or easy was this for you, Mike?
For me, it was difficult. because nobody's ever asked me that before. It's always, what's your favorite Kiss album? What's your favorite Kiss song? What's your favorite Kiss tour? So for me, it was really difficult, especially being a huge fan of the classic lineup. And then, as you may remember from the last show that we did, I'm also a big fan of 80s Kiss too, right? So like kind of the non-makeup years. So for me, yeah, it was hard. It was, I can't say these are the worst albums, but I mean, I like them all, but if I had to pick 5, it only took me like a few days to figure it out without sleep and without anything else, So
yeah.
What about yourself, Martin? How easy or difficult was this for you to come up with this list?
The top 3 were really easy, and then I panicked right up until the last minute on 6, 5, and 4, and shuffled them around like crazy, and came up with them. And I did more work than I needed to, because I got notes on 6 albums now, and I didn't need to do that. But yeah, so and I realized that my 5 and 6 are albums that I really like, and it's really like just really 4, 3, 2, and 1 that I don't like.
Yeah. We got a question here from the Contrarians. Okay, and he's asking, what do you think of originals from Killers, Smashes, and the remix of Strutter 78? So, well, let's start with you, Martin. What do you think of the original songs that are on Killers, Smashes, and the remix? Strutter 78.
Smashes is better. Killers, they were a little raw and underwritten. The Strutter 78 sounded good. That was fine. I remember getting double platinum and just loving just buying some Kiss product, even though I didn't need all this stuff, right? It was like you just go out and get this double album and whatever it was. What it was, 1978, I suppose, when it came out. Yeah. Right. And then we got Double Live in 78 as well, right? So lots of Kiss stuff to buy. 4 solo albums.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I like the songs off of Killers. Smashes, I like. I mean, I'm not crazy about Let's Put the X in Sex. It's not my favorite song. I thought You Make Me Rock Hard was better. So we're talking about the original songs, right? And then and then Strutter 78, obviously it was kind of cool, like a different I don't want to use the word disco, but
well, that's what it was. It was Let's Put Strutter to a Disco beat.
It was sort of like the first attempt before I Was Made for Loving You. So
yeah. Well, I mean, for myself on Killers, I mean, there's a couple of killer tunes on that. Nowhere to Hide,
Nowhere to Run.
Or sorry, Nowhere to Run. Thank you. That song should have been on another record. So
I agree.
It's too good a song to be lost on that. I also always had a fondness for Down on Your Knees. I thought that was a good song.
Yeah.
The other two, they're okay. They're okay, but they're nothing great. The songs on Smashes, I could do without. And Strutter 78, I don't know. Give me the real Strutter. So I mean, Strutter with the disco beat. I don't know. Okay, so here's another question. Did Bob Ezrin produce? I think you meant Bob Ezrin, Willie Groove Cricket, produce all the Kiss albums? No, Bob Ezrin did Destroyer and he did Revenge. That's it.
Elder.
Oh, sorry, Elder. Yes, you're right. Yeah, 3 records he did. Yeah, and apparently the Elder record, he was sort of kind of gone fishing for most of it.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it went well.
No, he was in the middle of his habit, and I won't mention what that habit was since it wasn't fishing. Yeah. So and Susan Smalley Box is asking our favorite Kiss records. We did that on another show. For me, it's Rock and Roll Over. Real quick, what do you got? Destroyer. Mike?
I think I was Rock and Roll Over as well.
Yeah, Rock.
Yeah, we both had the same one.
That was surprising because everything else was totally
oh yeah, that was crazy. We got to do that again.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, CK's got a question. Hack, please ask Martin why he says Jokey when referring to a song or album by a band. What does he exactly mean by the term jokey? Examples: ZZ Top and Nugent define jokey.
It's funny. I got asked that in a comment somewhere, and probably by the same person. And I remember sort of answering it there. But, I mean, I think it's pretty clear cut what that term means. It means like some funny sounds or some funny vocals or some funny lyrics or, just a comedy song. When it comes to Ted Nugent, there's definitely some jokey songs like Yank Me, Crank Me, and Wang Dang, Sweet Poontang, and even a little bit Cat Scratch Fever, and most of that last /EP album that he made. I mean, it just means a comedy tune, a novelty tune. And that's, and then I even in the context of Queen, you could say, Radio Gaga, just it's funny, haha. The falsetto vocals in Bohemian Rhapsody, and the opera parts and all that kind of stuff. So just means anything stuck into a hit that's kind of novelty. It's there for cheap laughs, or the whole premise of the whole song is that it's funny. It's funny for the band.
Here's another question for you, Martin. Before we get going, Martin ever going to write a standalone book about WASP?
No, I don't think so. I don't feel like I have the interviews. I mean, Blackie seems to be such a recluse anyways. And I'm somewhat of a fan, but not a huge fan. I mean, it is a pretty interesting story. I've been asked that one a lot. I thought somebody was working on a WASP book out there in the world somewhere. No. But no, I just get the feeling that it would be hard to get any cooperation or more interviews or whatever. And I really only have, I don't know, 3 or 4 chats with Blackie and a couple other little things along the way. They had a lot of members in the band, so I suppose I've interviewed a lot of members, but no, I can't see doing a whole book.
Martin, have you seen the Chris Holmes documentary?
No.
I just got it. I haven't popped it in yet, but I literally just got it this week.
Huh. Yeah. No, Tim Henderson and myself have fond memories of going to a lunch, in the middle of the day with Blackie and Chris and the label rep and stuff, and sitting down and interviewing and stuff. It was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So someone's asking, do solo albums count? So just so everybody knows kind of where we're coming at this. So we're not including the solo albums because that would make it a hell of a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. That was one of the first things I asked you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, we're not including solo albums, and we're not including like live albums or any, somebody, double platinum, for example. We're not including any greatest hits or compilations or anything like that. So these are literally our 5 least favorite. Okay, and I will say that, and Martin, kind of mentioned being around the whole history of the band, and I think I can speak for Mike as well. We love all eras of the band. It's not just we love the original 4. I mean, I've been a Kiss fan since I was 10 years old, and I mean, I've been, not every new record coming out, but basically from rock and roll over on, I was there. So, yeah, so it's kind of like that. So that's the criteria for the list. Okay. And that's what we're all working off of that. So, all right, let's get going here. So, Martin. So also I should mention 5 being the best of the least, if that makes any sense. Where number 1 is our least favorite record. So we're starting at 5. So Martin, what have you got for number 5?
Okay, well, I bumped out Dynasty back to number 6, and that one I have a bunch of notes on as well. But, I came up with Unmasked for number 5. I mean, you have to, if you're an old school guy, if you're an old guy, you got to include Unmasked. It seems like you have to do that. Just like every kid in the suburbs was issued a copy of Frampton Comes Alive when I was, in 1976, right? But Unmasked. So you got May 20th, 1980. It went gold. I was playing it again today and realizing that I quite like this album. I mean, it is my least favorite on this list, but it is a really sharp and catchy power pop album. Not like Kiss had any idea what they were doing. They were just floundering, but they essentially accidentally came upon this pretty decent style. It was somewhat honed on Dynasty. Dynasty now sounds like when you approach Unmasked from Dynasty, it almost sounds like this is them refining their sound. Maybe there's a little bit of a Cars influence as well that comes into this record, but it's just a bunch of really fun, interesting songs. And it just screws with your head when you think it's actually Kiss doing it. But they're hard hitting. It's all guitar with distortion pedal and stuff, right? It's fairly rocking. But Is That You is a really cool tune. I like Tomorrow, but you got Vinny Poncia helping write all these songs, right? Naked City, I wasn't too crazy about. She's So European, I thought was pretty cool for a Gene and Poncia song. So it's recorded quite well. I like the sound of it. But it is, it did horrify us as kids. It was like another step down, even from Unmasked in mellowness. So it's going gold. And the previous one went platinum, because of basically the disco novelty song. But yeah, I really found myself not really disliking this as much as I thought. So there you go, my number 5.
Yeah, and that you made a point there, and that's why I called it my 5 least favorite, because it's not that these are necessarily bad records. It's just that there's other records that we like more.
Oh, there's some bad records.
Okay, well, we'll get to those. I personally, I always loved Unmasked, and the
Me
reason,
too.
Yeah, I loved it because I love the the songs. Forget everything else. Just the songs alone are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
They're good songs. They're catchy songs. I love that Ace's participation in it.
Yeah, Ace is singing, right? Talk to me, and what
Sides
is it?
of the coin,
Two sides of the coin, right? The
Girl.
reggae tune is good on it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a fun album. I always hated it, so I'm just like literally like very recently arriving back and really realizing its charms.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. There's the lead breaks on every one of those songs is amazing. Like, I don't know. I just absolutely, I always loved Unmasked. What about you, Mike? What do you think of Unmasked?
I love it. I mean, I was 8 years old when that album came out, and I remember I loved the cover. I loved it back then, and I love it today.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember buying. You guys might remember this. Remember, they used to come out with these little mini record albums, and it was actually gum. Do you remember that?
Yeah. The Chew Bops.
That's it, Chew Bops.
Kiss Unmasked was one. Billy Joel was on. Pat Travers had one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I still have my Unmasked one. So I don't know. I love that album too. So I mean, it's hard for me to criticize, but Yeah,
I love that record, and even though what was going on with the band behind the scenes, it was very fractured. It's like, I remember reading Paul, like, I'm recording a Kiss record and I'm the only guy from Kiss in this, on the on this particular track or whatever it was. But I thought it was great. What's your number? What's your number 5, Mike?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this is really hard for me to do because I'm a huge fan of the non-makeup 80s Kiss as well as the classic lineup. But 5 is Hot in the Shade. And there were a lot of great songs on that album, but there was also some not great, mainly Gene songs, I guess. The Street Giveth, Street Taketh Away. Sorry, I don't have notes in front of me because I'm blind, so I don't have the luxury of notes, but Rise to It to me was just that. It was just a weak single.
I agree.
Even everything from the album cover, like, I was never crazy about. That was the one of the Kiss albums that just didn't even have a big Kiss logo on it. And trying to think what else. Silver Spoon, I'm not too crazy about. Yeah, I don't know. Again, this was really difficult for me because I was trying to pick like a non-makeup album, 80s album. It was hard. So I like this album, but it does have its weak points too.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about Hot in the Shade later on, so I'm not going to get
Okay.
too much into that. But yeah,
Actually, having said that, though, the tour was fantastic.
yes, the tour was
That
great.
that stage show during Dynasty would have been amazing, or that stage show with makeup would have been amazing. I
Yeah,
should say.
yeah. They went back to the big stage production with that, and that's off the
Yeah.
strength of because they were selling records, right? Forever was on that album, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, my number 5 is Sonic Boom.
Interesting.
So,
Not
um,
expecting it.
yeah, well, I mean, again, it's not that it's the whole album is bad. There's just albums I like better, but I mean, there's some really good songs on that. Modern Day Delilah, I'm an Animal, I love a lot. And, Gene's song Danger Us is kind of cheesy, but I dig it. And it's interesting because, and I'll come back to this a little bit later on, but Paul Stanley always, in the last few albums, he always had this way of sort of writing the song that was sort of the theme for the record underlined. It's like, okay, I'm going to write Modern Day Delilah. Everything else has to come up to that level, right? That's sort of like the lead off cut that sets the bar, so to speak, right? But unfortunately, there's not a lot on this record that was at that caliber. I'm in the Modern Day Delilah videos. Little side note there. But there's a lot of schlock on it. Like Say Yeah is painful, man. It's like, what kills me is they put that in their live show because they want to do a sing along. I mean, that is, Kiss always had a little bit of a cheesy element, and some of it I was good with, and some of it I wasn't. But Say Yeah is a little beyond that.
And it's not just this tour. It's not just the end of the road tour. Like they've played it other tours, and I don't understand why.
Yeah,
I'd much rather hear Modern Day Delilah.
Yeah, there's 100 songs you'd rather hear than that.
Yeah.
All for the Glory, Hot and Cold. It's like I'm reaching for former glory that wasn't there. I'm just reading my notes here. It's the best of my least favorite. They just sounded like they weren't working on all cylinders, and I think a really big part of it, and the more current records they did, is having Paul Stanley produce. They really need somebody outside,
Agreed.
And they need not necessarily other writers, but maybe somebody to edit them a little bit more, instead of everything that, and I think that's a huge mistake. And it probably would have made Sonic Boom a better record because it had I think it had the substance that it could have been better, maybe had a couple of rewrites on some songs and, maybe a different direction. The production of it too is, I don't know, not all that great. It's very, I don't know, homogeneous sounding, it all kind of just, it doesn't really come out at you. It's just kind of,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sonic Boom, again, not a terrible album. There's definitely some good songs on there, but as a whole, not in my not one of my favorites. So that's my number 5. Yeah.
Cool. All right. You want to hear my number 4 now?
Yeah, go for number 4, Martin.
Okay, my number 4, I'm definitely going with music from the Elder. It just passed us by at the time. We didn't care. I didn't notice it particularly. You got the cognitive dissonance of music from the Elder, which the Elder doesn't even really exist.
Right.
It's the heavy songs are pretty cool. Dark Light with Ace, love the Oath, definitely. Mr. Blackwell's kind of cool. All the mellow stuff was not a big fan of. You can tell there was a lot of weird stuff going on between the producer and the band is fractured. And this is Eric Carr for the first time, right? Not that it really matters particularly. But no, I mean, I'm along kind of with everybody else. I mean, I see the Elder on most lists of least like albums, even though there's some heaviness to it. This is a little bit of this whole concept of give the people what they want, or the fans probably would have loved the idea of Kiss doing a concept album, but as soon as they deliver it, you realize it was a bad idea, kind of thing. You don't really think of them in this mode doing this. There's a lot of orchestration, just a lot of weird things that they're doing. And after kind of the brightness and the freshness, not that we liked it at the time, but now looking back, after kind of the charm that you get on Dynasty and on Mask to get this, it's just very dark and pretentious, and it just doesn't suit the band well doing this kind of thing. So yeah, and playing it back again and again a few times, like I say, like all the mellow stuff just like goes in one ear and out the other, not into it. And then the heavy stuff, everything's got a little asterisk because you think it's linked to a concept, and that makes the songs not feel like individual songs so much when you have that little asterisk to them the whole time. So yeah, there you go, music from the Elder.
I think a big part of that record, and that was exceptionally bad timing on their part. You know, when you're going to put out something like that, you really want to be at the peak of your popularity, not at the tail end of your popularity. And it, you know, when they're to take a chance like that, and that pretty much just sealed their coffin at that point. But you know, the Elder, over time, it's one of those albums for me anyway that kind of grew on me. And I enjoy the Elder because it's same reason as I enjoy Unmasked. It's a departure from everything else, right? And it's, you know, I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Are you an Elder fan or?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say the same thing. At the time when the Elder came out, like I was just really disappointed. I was, again, disappointed in the album cover. Disappointed that there were no band pictures inside. That's when they changed their look. I do have the Japanese version, which they reissued with a picture of the band on the front. But yeah, and I mean, at the time too, I mean, our musical taste changed too. Like listening to it now, it's more like a classic album. It's not something I listen to all the time, but I do like it and I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When I came out at first as a kid, I'm like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly.
I checked the album sleeve. Is that the right band that I bought?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, is this a Kiss album?
Yeah.
I mean, for us, you're right in the middle of the new wave of British heavy metal, and there's all this amazing music all over the place. More records than you can even afford.
Yeah.
Great records coming out all the time. Like forget it. Like you know, we got Maiden and Quartz and more, and Tigers of Pantang and Fist and Witchfinder. You know, Witchfinder, eventually Witchfinder General and Tank and Motorhead and Saxon. Right.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like you know. Who can deal with Kiss doing a concept album that's not even super heavy, right?
Yeah.
And again, going back to the timing of it, I think the timing was horrible.
I mean, even at the time when that album came out, I mean, as a kid buying it, I didn't even know it was a concept record. It was just like, what's this? Right? Like it's so mellow. It's so like, it's so not Kiss. It's so not what I loved about Kiss at that time, right?
And subconsciously, you're almost thinking there was this massive hit with Grease soundtrack albums, Saturday Night Fever soundtrack album, and you get this music from the Elder, and there's this, like I say, this cognitive dissonance. It's like, is there a movie called The Elder here somewhere? Like, what's going on?
There was supposed to be a movie called The Elder, but the tank, then it kind of all went down the hill after that. Yeah.
Keep talking. I'm going to grab a brew.
All right. Okay, Mike, what do you got for number 4?
Okay, so for number 4, I have Sonic Boom.
Wow. Okay.
And we talked about that a lot. I mean, you covered a lot of ground there. So and for me too. Well, not for me, but that was sort of also at that time. That's when Paul's voice started going, if you remember, because that was on the Alive 35 tour where they started playing Modern Day Delilah. Mm-hmm. And I remember I bought the you'd go to the concert and you could buy the live audio from the show after.
Right.
You remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
So I bought all those, and I remember that was the first time listening to it on the way home, thinking like, "Ooh, like
what happened?"
This was during the Alive 35 tour, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, and like you said, the production too. I wasn't crazy about the production.
Sound very generic, there was
There
no.
was a lot of filler on that album, I thought.
Oh, tons of filler.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's two ways of looking at it. And on the one hand, I say, well, I'd rather have them put something out than nothing.
Yeah.
I think we may have talked about this before. Like Alice Cooper, he's constantly putting albums out. They might not be selling, but he's doing it for the fans. He's doing it for his own creativity. And I kind of wish Kiss would do the same thing, because I mean,
But you don't. But you don't.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So it's sort of like that. I mean,
if Paul could sing, man, I'd want him to put out records all the time.
To be honest, when I first heard Modern Day Delilah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I thought so too. Yeah.
I still think it's a great song. Why they don't play that? Well, it's probably because Paul can't sing it. But I mean, it's a much, to me, that's the best song on the album. And I was expecting the rest of the album to be like that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, to me, it's just okay. I listened to it today, actually, just to kind of get a refresher. I'm like, oh man, I was hoping maybe because I hadn't listened to it for a long time that, I might be like, oh, I forgot how good this was. But I was just kind of like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a Kiss album and I still love it because it's Kiss. But
yeah. Well, the whole Paul singing thing is a completely different topic. But I mean, I think Alive 35 was like the last tour that he was.
Yeah, that's when it started.
And it kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my number 4 is Psycho Circus. So there's, man, the promise of a new album, the 4 guys back, and you're like, oh man, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. And then there's Paul again coming up with like the title track, Psycho Circus, again making the statement. And that was the single. And I remember when that came out on the radio, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It sounds great. Da, 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 da. And then you get the rest of the record, and you're like, what the hell? Best of intentions, but I mean, the other guys weren't even on the record. I mean, Into the Void, they gave Ace a song. Okay, here we'll record this one, and you can hear that's Peter on the drums instantly, right?
Oh yeah.
The rest of the record was Kevin Valentine, and I don't know, Tommy Thayer, I guess, was playing guitar. I think Bruce Kulick is on the record too. I mean, there's a couple of songs I like on it. I do like Within. I think that's cool, and I did actually play that live on that tour, along with Psycho Circus. But again, there's a lot of schlock on it. I mean, We Are One, Raise Your Glasses. I mean, it's just so cheesy.
Are we allowed to disagree?
Maybe. Yeah. Oh, we're great. We're the best. We're Kisses back and whatever. And it's not. And then that pathetic Finally Found My Way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a horrible song.
Yeah.
Let's get Peter to sing it, because this is like Kiss, so we got to have Peter sing a song. Peter, this is your new Beth. It ain't.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like they're really reaching back, right?
I'm gonna totally agree with you on that, but yeah, the rest of the album, yeah. Well,
I like Journey of 1,000 Years. That was cool, because I like that it was like a nice big epic kind of song, and they brought the theme of Psycho Circus back into it. That was sort of a nice, but yeah, not again, there's records I like a hell of a lot better than Psycho Circus. Yeah. Cool. Oh, all righty. So let's go to number 3. What do you got, Martin, for number 3?
For number 3, I've got Crazy Nights, September 18th, 1987, went platinum. So maybe the show was big on the next one because we go with a platinum and a gold album. I mean, Kiss is doing pretty good business here as a last generation into the hair metal thing. I mean, we're late into hair metal at this point, and they're doing pretty good. So 1987, they go platinum. I just find this is the one with the travesty of the trying the keyboards and the synthesizers. We've got the outside songwriters. What are my notes? I've got crazy nights. I just find it's a little bit fun, but it's really, really dumb at the same time. I thought I'll Fight Hell to Hold You is a little bit of a like a Creatures era cool metal one. Bang Bang You, stupid crazy nights kind of song. No, horrible. I hate when Kiss would do the David Lee Roth double bass drum OTT over the top song, and it's always powerless and nothing is going on, and it just is so badly written every time they do this. It's just butta, one or two times per these albums, right? Hell or High Water, melodic crap chorus on that. My Way, now we're into the big keyboards, right? The Bon Jovi kind of pop thing going on with that. When Your Walls Come Down, just standard late period bad hair metal. Everybody blames the three W's, right? Winger, Warrant, and Whitesnake for the death of hair metal. Kiss deserves a lot of stick for the death of hair metal, right? With these two records that always make these lists, right? They're always on these lists, these last two records, right? So what else we got? Good Girl Gone Bad, one of those dull thumping Gene things. Turn on the Night, back to the synth pop, or not synth pop, but synth hair metal, right? That one reminded me of this band. I don't know if you guys remember the band Axe. I love a lot of things Axe did. Really cool. They had a couple big hits with Rock and Roll Party in the Streets, right? Axe Offering and the other album. I kind of like those guys, but for some reason that song reminds me of Axe. And then Thief in the Night is one of your classic kind of Gene bass fart songs that I call them, right? And that was on Wendy O. Williams' album, right? Ron Nevison produces, crap production. Ron does nothing for the band. It's just shitty production, right?
There's no bass.
Just your standard cardboardy thing, which is kind of it literally goes back to the UFO days where those records are kind of cardboardy on the whole bass. Screechy, like too much mid-range. Noisy.
I noticed that with the Heart albums too.
Well, that's why they got him.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
So he does no favors to the band here as a big shot producer or whatever. So and the lead up to this, I'm a huge Asylum fan. I know Asylum makes these lists a lot, but I love Asylum.
Me too.
And I'm perfectly fine with Creatures, and I'm perfectly fine with Lick It Up and Animalize, that whole ramp up. But these last two, I was right off the wagon at this point. So there you go. Crazy Nights.
Yeah, interesting. I think we see eye to eye on a lot of that. Mike, what's your number 3?
Well, again, I don't have notes because I can't see them. Sorry. But I'm gonna have to say Monster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. For me it was Sonic Boom Part 2, really.
Yeah.
I just thought that there was a lot of filler. Again, with the production. I know you said that they should have got an outside producer, which I agree, but I also think they should have gone with outside writers again. I just think there was a lot of filler. I mean, the first single off that album was Hell or Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And
you don't like that one?
No, I don't mind it, but it was almost like a part. It was like a modern day Delilah Part 2. It's almost like they tried to do a carbon copy of Sonic Boom, and just everything from the album title to the album cover. Again, I mean, at least they're on the cover, but
on the cover, yeah.
It just seemed like so. I don't want to say cheap, but like that album cover reminded me of something that you would have seen in like Metal Edge magazine or Circus magazine.
Walmart metal. Have you ever heard that term, Walmart metal? Right? I mean, it just feels like it just looks like it's just too perfectly put together, like the last Ozzy album, Ordinary Man. Like the cover is too synthetic, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, my number 3 is also Crazy Nights. So a lot of what Martin said, I echo. Over polished and neutered sounding to me. It doesn't have, you mentioned Asylum and Animalize and Look It Up. All those records had a rough edge to them. There was no rough edge. You would slide off the surface of this record. It had absolutely no grit whatsoever. I mean, it was totally their attempt at 80s radio. They were trying desperately to get on 80s radio. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but they actually waited 2 years to get Ron Nevison to produce it because he's producing Heart, he's producing Ozzy, and Ozzy and Heart are doing very, very well. They're like, we want that guy. He's gonna put us in that, in that league. And man, it just, I don't know. It's horrible. The heavy keyboards, like, I mean, I've talked about this on other shows. Sometimes keyboards in a song work really well. Sometimes they just dilute the song where like there's nothing left. There's no flavor whatsoever. And the keyboard use on this record just diluted anything. Like My Way, man, shoot me. That is like one of the most horrible songs I've ever heard.
Oh, come on.
So bad, yeah.
Very
Way. Out of character for them.
Okay, we're not that different in age, are we? Because I had Crazy Nights on my top 10, if you remember. So I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, but I'm just
that's pretty contrarian because I really do see this on most lists way down the list, right?
Well, we had when we were doing the top 10, it was hilarious because all Mike's picks were like, what? Really? Top 10?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, having said that, I admit that the song Crazy Nights is probably my least favorite off that album. So
the only signs of grit or edge, if you will, are the Gene songs on this. And I know a lot of the stuff Gene was doing around this time was phoned in. But I do like Good Girl Gone Bad. Mm-hmm. I don't mind that song. Hell or High Water is not a bad song either.
Reason to Live.
Reason to Live, again, man.
I still love that song today.
Oh, I hate that song. It reminds me of Foreigner. It sounds like a Foreigner thing.
Yeah.
But oh man, Paul was supposed to come out with a solo album around that time.
Yeah, Sword and Stone was supposed to be.
Yeah,
I would love that, man. I'm such a Paul fan. I love everything Paul kind of like. I want to hear poppy melodic Paul.
Yeah, and at that time, I would have loved to have heard. I mean, for me, that was his voice was like.
Oh, back then he could shatter glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying about Paul, like Paul's, I mean, it's another show, and it actually ended up in my top 10 because when we did a top 10 show, we did include the solo albums, and Paul Stanley's solo album was in my top 10. That 78 solo album of Paul's is incredible. And people go on about how great Ace's record is. Ace's record is great, but I like Paul's even better. But the Live to Win
was the letdown.
Is horrible. Yeah. It's a horrible record.
Yeah.
But yeah, Crazy Nights for me, I'm sorry, it's just it's not one of their best.
That's what makes these shows so fun is the
Well, Taylor 315, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Excellent show tonight, guys. Anything with Martin is going to be great. There you go.
Thank you.
Kudos to Martin.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so that's my number 3. Yeah, so yeah, Martin and I are on the same page for that one for sure. The title, I just reading my notes here. Title kit's okay. Oh, and the highlight for me on that record, if there is a highlight, is Bruce Kulick got to play. Bruce Kulick's guitar work on that is very, very good, right? Very, very good. I will say that. But no is painful. Yes, I agree. Total filler. Yeah. All right, Martin, what do we got for number 2?
Okay, number 2, I went with Hot in the Shade. October 17th, 1989 went gold. So this again is like, phone it in, crappy hair metal. It can still sell a lot of copies. I don't know why, but it did. Lots of outside songwriters again. Vinnie Poncia, Desmond Child, like that the horrible scourge on music that is Desmond Child is happening. But Rise to It. I didn't mind Rise to It. It was kind of cool. I think that's a catchy title. Betrayed was pretty cool with Gene. So it's starting off kind of cool. But then Hide Your Heart, I Don't Care. That's Ace did that too, right?
Yes, he did too.
Yeah, on his album. So that's a weird embarrassment, like these guys wearing the same dress to the prom kind of thing, right? Prisoner of Love was one of those crappy shuffle beat kind of hair metal things that probably goes back to God knows what Van Halen did in the past. Read My Body, funky metal, Poison rapping, Poison. I hated Poison at the time. I liked later Poison. And when I got to know the guys and interview them, I kind of got Poison later, but there's a lot of Poison to this album. This is the one where they tried to get a little more raw and back to basics and demo-y or whatever. But the problem with this one is there's 15 songs on it. It's an hour long. So there's a lot of filler on this, right? This is the theme of this one is filler. And the theme of the last one is maybe keyboards, right? A little more, but yeah, I don't know. Silver Spoon, don't hate it. It's got that little modulation to the chorus going on. I hate Love's a slap in the face. Cadillac Dreams is weird, money, that's all I need and all that kind of stuff. Right. But another, double bass racket, on that one. And just like thumpy, dull hair metal, 4 on the floor drumming, no groove, stiff, everything about it is just, and, at this point in life, I remember coming through this period, and this is when everybody is starting to rebel against hair metal and saying, enough, this stuff is crap. Everything is, you're getting all the duplicate, the sort of like double down, jump the shark baby bands,
second generation,
doing their worst music, and grunge is coming up and it's super exciting. And there's all these great, weird, dangerous bands coming out of Seattle, Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. And then you've got Faith No More and Jane's Addiction. And you got the Minneapolis scene and all this really cool, exciting new music coming along that's making this stuff look really, really embarrassing. So, I just, I just find that this period, and literally just these 2 records have a target on them for me with Kiss, even though I think they thrive in the early days of hair metal, and they're in there and you're excited and you're championing them and you're cheering for them and you're just surrendering to the simplicity of the song Lick It Up and stuff like that. And just kind of going with the flow when this stuff is brand new in like 83, 84 with Twisted Sister and Dawkins and Quiet Riot, and Kiss is right in there like a dirty shirt. And you're happy that they're having some hits and some success again. But by the end, they've kind of overstayed their welcome. So there you go. Hot in the Shade.
Yeah, I totally agree with pretty much everything you said on Hot in the Shade. I just want to mention Joe Beck. Thank you so much for the super chat. And he's got a good question here. And he says, he's asking, do you consider Wow, the Wendy O. Williams, a Kiss album? It has more Kiss on it. I think he means Kiss members on it than most of the Kiss albums in the 80s.
Wow, that's interesting. I don't know a lot about that album, but I want to check it out after that. I know there's always been those connections. And
Gene.
And the other thing is Gene is off acting, and he's also producing all these weird records at the time, right?
Yeah,
so
Gene
there's that thing going on. But maybe Mike knows more about this.
Well, Gene produced it. He's got a lot of co-writes on it. Ace Frehley played a solo on it. I believe Eric Carr is on there as well. So there's a lot of Kiss guys on that record. Yeah. So thanks so much for that. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about cheering for Kiss and all that. And I mean, you know what? They were there, man. Like, I mean, Lick It Up, while all that was going on, Lick It Up. And they went heavier. They had some really heavy songs on that, Not for the Innocent,
Young and Wasted,
Fighter, all that sort of thing. And Animalize, Into the Fire, I've Had Enough, like some really good, as Asylum, so it's, I mean, I've stuck with Kiss until I got to about till they started doing the Crazy Night, and that's when I started to cash out a little bit. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, really? You know, that's when I started to cash out, and then I came back with the reunion and all that stuff. So it's
Hey,
like,
hey, man, I love to death Revenge. I mean, Revenge would be
Revenge is great.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. What a
From
great
start to
classic
finish.
album. Beautiful, beautiful record.
Yeah.
And again, that was them still in there. You know, they came back. They're still in there, but it's sort of been an in and out thing with me. Like, you know, starting from Crazy Nights, and then it was sort of back and forth. Okay, Mike, what do you got for number 2?
All right. So for number 2, I have Carnival of Souls. So for me, that was just the farthest thing from a Kiss album. It was Kiss trying to be something that they weren't. The only 2 songs that I really like off that album are Jungle, which would have been a great single. It would have been great if they did a video for it, and Hate. There's a couple other good songs, but those are probably my 2 favorites off that album. The album didn't do very well, and I mean, they kind of released it as an afterthought to the reunion tour.
Yeah, everybody had the bootleg. I had that.
Yeah, I still have that. I've got the bootleg, and I remember I had it on cassette. Then I got it on CD, and then finally they released it.
And then they put it out. Yeah.
And
Mike, you know what shaved 100,000 copies off of the sales of that album is the album cover.
Oh.
I think it looked like it didn't even look like an official album.
It what? But that
well, I know it wasn't, but still, it didn't look like it. I mean, you put a really spiffy, cool cover on that, and I bet it would have sold a lot more. It looked like some sort of weird bootleggy greatest hits thing, archival thing.
Well, again, at the time, like if you talk to Bruce, he said, you know, if he knew that was going to be the album cover, he would have at least shaved, right? Like, that's what he said. He had no idea. Like, he was like, what is this, right? But I still think even if they would have put a good cover on there, I think that album would have tanked. I really do. So I think it was sort of good timing that came out after they announced the reunion tour, because I mean, the success of the reunion tour, and then I think if to have gone from an album like Revenge to an album like Carnival of Souls was just like, no.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't know.
Well, the whole record was an afterthought. It's like, we recorded this, we have it in the can. Everybody's got a bootleg version. What are we going to do with this record?
Yeah, I mean, it was already done, but I mean, again, even though they released it not as an official album because they called it the Final Sessions, I think it would have tanked if they released that and done a tour for that album. I think it would have tanked. I mean, they didn't do any promo.
And the reason they held it back too is they were saying they didn't want to confuse the fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like they're all, you know, the whole Kiss, you know, engine is pushing this whole reunion thing.
Yeah.
Put out this non-makeup record. It's like, well, what band am I going to see? Am I going to see this band, or am I going to see this makeup band? You know? So, yeah. But I mean, that was probably one of the most, if not the most, bootlegged release. You know, that came out. It was available before that album was available. Everybody I know had that record.
Yeah,
and I listened to it a million times.
You know, I gotta say, like, I was so against hair metal at that time, and I really loved most of the grunge stuff, and I was in BC at that time, that I actually liked Carnival Souls a fair amount. I actually did an episode of my podcast, History in 5 Songs, where I looked at the hair metal bands that tried a grungy sort of thing,
right?
And most of the time, I was pretty happy when a band did that. There was Dokken tried that, and Slaughter a little bit, not so much. But Dokken, Warrant, definitely, Def Leppard even a little bit with Slang. But I was more or less a supporter of Carnival of Souls. That's all I'll say. I don't want to argue with you guys.
Oh no, that like I said, that's the same thing with. I think it's so cool, like how one person could say this is so fantastic, and somebody else could say, oh, it's horrible, right? Like I think that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, of course, right? That's why we do these shows. Well, guess what my number 2 is?
No idea.
Carnival of Souls.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
I also chose Carnival. It's again, I mean, Kiss did this a lot, sometimes more successfully than not, and it goes kind of back to what Martin was saying, chasing trends. I mean, they did chase when the heavier rock came out, and they did Creatures, and then they did Lick It Up, and then they did but they did that well. They were in there, they were in the fight, but Carnival of Souls for me completely missed the mark. I mean, it like Mike said, it did not sound like a Kiss record at all. They were trying to be a grunge band, and I mean, they made a great hair metal band, but a grunge band, no. That being said, there are some good songs on that. Mike, you mentioned Hate. I think Hate's a great song.
Yeah.
I love Childhood's End as well. And I Will Be There. That song that Paul wrote for his at that time would have been his young son, Evan, right?
Evan, yeah.
I thought was really good. But again, it's the album was doomed from day one because I mean the record company it almost came out like an afterthought. Nobody really cared about it. And I know I heard what they were trying to do. And again, it's not a completely horrible album. Again, and I'll say this too: the highlight on that record is Bruce Kulick. I mean, that guy was playing his ass off, and he probably, and from interviews I've read, of the Kiss albums he's done, that was his biggest contribution. He actually sang a song on that record, "I Walk Alone," right? And that's the highlight. And I felt real bad for him and Eric Singer at the time, but Eric Singer, of course, swung back into it. But I felt really bad for those guys. Those guys were literally paid at that point. Stay home, and we'll get back to you. And that was the end of it for Bruce. And Eric did eventually come back. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Paul's voice though, some of his singing on that was absolutely fantastic because Paul was still a great singer.
Well, look at Jungle. I mean, his voice is amazing on that song.
It's great. Jungle's a good song.
Yeah.
It's not a totally. I mean, it's one of my least favorite, but there's still some redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
The songs I mentioned are really, really are good. I think they're good. But as a whole, there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of skips. In my head, I don't need to hear that again. There's a few songs that. Mirror, is it Mirror or Mirror or something? Anyways, there's a few on there that I don't really need to hear again. But that's that was an ill-fated record right from the get-go. So, but yeah, that's my number 2, Carnival of Souls.
All right,
we're down to the bottom.
Okay, my number 1, because I'm sticking faithfully to the Contrarians episode we did. We've got the secondary type show where we do the worst album thing. We've done a few of those. We've done Motorhead, Van Halen, Aerosmith, Kiss. I don't know what else. But I'm going with this one. There's my fully signed Psycho Circus.
Psycho Circus.
Yeah, fond memories. I got to go to a was it Monster or Sonic Boom? Anyways. A nice industry thing with the band all there and walking around talking to them, drinking beers and all that. Nice. It was great. Got stuff signed. It was cool. But anyways, this record is the one I think that you can be most angry at in terms of the band should have known better, should have done better, right? All along the way, there is the chasing of trends and whether you hit it or not or try something different. You can excuse them, but here it's like, the stakes were so high and it was such a fail. Only 10 songs on it. It's not a reunion thing. There is the whole Kevin Valentine thing and Ace only here and there and Peter only here and there. I thought the single, Psycho Circus, this whole idea of Paul setting the stage, I've never heard that before. That's kind of a neat way of looking at it. I thought that was a pretty good song. I hated Within. I hated that whole drop down to that. You know, it just all the energy felt let out of the bag at that. I think the best song on it is I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll. That's one of these great, you know, Paul poppy, melodic, really cool up Kiss songs. And I love when they do that. And I thought the Ace song was pretty good. And then things just drop off a cliff from there. We Are Dumb is really, We Are One is really, really dumb. You Wanted the Best, I thought was like a Kickstart My Heart sort of redo. Not great. Although I love the, you know, the threading in of the vocalist. That's one cool thing about Kiss that I love is that they have like 4 great voices in the band, like guys with great voices, and they've got between 3 and 3.5 or 2.5 great singers in the band at the same time, right? So you've got all this great, you know, this great vocal power that they can use, right? And Raise Your Glasses, I thought was really stupid, and it reminds me, it's a little bit like a cross between glammy hair metal Alice Cooper, that kind of thing, right? I agree with you guys. I Finally Found My Way. Dreamin' was like one of these grunge. When these bands were doing that grungy thing, they often, and this is all over Carnival of Souls too, they do that. What is that Beatles song? Anyways, that Beatlesque.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And Kiss likes that too, and most of the bands did that. They had that. They brought in that let's put in our Beatles psychedelic influence, and that's on that song Dreamin'. And Journey of a Thousand Years I thought was a little bit ambitious. That was kind of cool, but as a whole, this album is not ambitious. It's 10 bloody songs, right? And if you're gonna do 10 songs, they better all be bangers. But I think there's like 3 bangers on this thing. So that's my problem with this record. It's the one you can get the most angry about, I think.
Well, yeah, the promise, like you said, I mean, hey, we're all back together. We're gonna put out a classic Kiss record, and it's not there. And I don't know if you know this, but if you heard this, but what I've read from Paul is during that whole record, he was at odds with Bruce Fairbairn, who's the producer of the record. It's like, because Bruce was, you know, telling Paul what songs and what to include and what not. And Paul's like, I've been doing this for whatever, 20, 30 years. You're new here. I know what works and you don't. So, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're not listening to the outside producers, and he was kind of really forcing his vision onto that record. And, you know, I mean, and again, sometimes, hey,
So are you saying Paul got his way?
Well, Paul
got his way.
No, I believe Paul got his way. So the thing is, I mean, you know, Paul has his moments of, I mean, again, he had that knack for, this is the song, and then this is going to represent the album. And Psycho Circus does that in spades. And and you can tell the song worked because it was their opener. But even now, they're still playing Psycho Circus in their live show. So,
and Psycho Circus actually wasn't going to be on the album. Bruce Fairbairn didn't want it on there.
Oh, there you go.
That was one of the things that they argued over.
There you go. So
what a ridiculous title too, right? It's the title song, it's the title of the album, and it's stupid. It's like semi-cheap Hot Topic shock value words put together. Psycho Circus. The last thing any Kiss fan knows that Kiss is, they're not psycho at all. They're not really a circus. It's just these 2 faceless, shocking words stuck together, and it's just dumb. Well, even though the song is good, the title is dumb, and the title of the album is dumb.
They were supposed to on that tour, and they never did. I think only in LA did they do it, where they were, instead of an opening act, they were actually going to have these circus performers that were performing these kind of stunts that were psycho, you know, like sword swallowing, weird stuff like that. That never really, I think they did that in LA when they had that LA show when they started the tour, and they had Smashing Pumpkins, I believe, open for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they carried it on. It was just
it was just the one
concept behind it. You know, we're a Psycho Circus. We're, you know, but
not psycho. Kiss is not psycho.
Yeah. So okay, interesting. All right, Mike. What is your least?
So again, I'm kind of all over the place because, like I said, when I first originally came up with 5, I didn't have them in any order. So I'm trying to put them in order, but I'm kind of out of order a little bit on this too. So I, I'm not going to say this is the worst of the worst because it's not, but it's just the way I have it. But is Music from the Elder.
Oh, okay.
So, and again, I mean, yeah, it's not my least favorite. It was for many years, and but yeah, I mean, I appreciate it now. You know, I still like it, and well, we pretty much, you know, we covered a lot with it, but it was just again, it was just at the time when that album came out, it was just a huge disappointment in so many ways. Everything from the music to their look to the way the record, the album cover looked. You know, I mean, it was just you know, it was a gatefold, but no gatefold of the band, no pictures anywhere. And for me, that was a big disappointment for so many years. But you know, again, there's nothing that I really like absolutely hate about it or anything, but it's one of my top 5 least favorite, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like yourself, I had the same experience as a kid, but over time it's grown on me a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I like Only You, I like Odyssey, I like
Yeah.
Under the Rose, you know.
I like Under the Rose.
Well, I mean, they got Kevin Valentine play the drums on that. They get a brand new Eric Carr is like he's raring to go.
Yeah.
I like how you're playing the drums on this. Then I have to shout out Kevin Valentine, you know, to play drums on that. So yeah. Well, my least favorite Kiss record, and it's already been mentioned, is Hot in the Shade.
Oh,
This record for me is an absolute mess.
ooh.
It's just a mess.
Cool.
It's like everybody, okay, I'm recording these tracks, I'm recording that, you know, everybody's all scattered. And it's like, let's just put these put all this together and put out an album. Man, talk about filler. Like, I mean, when your title track is Rise to It, I mean, come on, that's garbage.
I
Like,
don't know whose call that was, but
I mean, oh, you know, and it's so contrived. It's like, okay, we know the song sucks. Let's do a video and put our makeup on. Maybe we'll get attention that way. You know?
but at the time that was cool. That was the best part of that song was that video because everybody was like, "Oh, have you seen the new Kiss video? They put their makeup on again,
Yeah.
right?"
Meanwhile, Paul's wearing Love Gun and Gina's wearing Dynasty costume. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
You guys,
they look kind of weird, but
I mean, come on. It's I don't know. I think it's just a bunch. Well, it is. I mean, it's common knowledge now. That was just a bunch of demos slapped together. They used tons of outside writers. It was that was an example of quality as opposed to quantity. You know, I mentioned Rise to It was a horrible song. I mean, what saved their bacon on that is they happen to have that one single. Paul Stanley and Michael Bolton, they wrote that song Forever. That saved their bacon. Other than that, I mean, that whole record was just abysmal, you know. That being said, there's a couple of songs on it that are not so bad. I really like Love Me to Hate You. I think
yeah, I think that should have been a single like 1,000 times over Rise to It.
Yeah.
And I love that song.
Hide Your Heart is, again, I talked about the cheese. Kiss always has elements of cheesiness, and some of it's okay and some of it's not. That's not. Read My Body is another example of bad cheese, if you will. There's just so much schlock on this record, right? And again, it's produced by Paul and Gene. You guys need editors. You guys need somebody to tell you what's good and what's not. You need somebody else, a different ear for the sonics, because that record does not sound good either. You know, it's just
production wise, yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, but the one thing that album has that Sonic Boom and Monster don't have is that they wrote with outside writers.
Yeah.
And to me, there's better. To me, song wise, there's much better songs on Hot in the Shade than Monster or Sonic Boom. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think these songs are like Little Caesar. I mean, thank God they finally let Eric Carr do a lead vocal, but man, give him Little Caesar.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean,
it's just a bad album. So yeah. Anyways, those are my least 5 least favorite records. It's funny, we had a lot in common here.
Yes. Yeah.
Surprising. You notice I did not have music from the Elder on my bottom 5 though. I'm the only one who didn't have music from
but
Elder.
it's so funny.
I've seen across the internet. I mean, if you talk about a clutch of 5, it's pretty consistent across the internet. And when you look at, say, 5, when you can include that many, not more, not less, it will be roughly these 5.
It was just funny when Martin said Unmasked, and then you and I were kind of like, ooh, because I know we both like that album.
Yeah.
Well, and I like it too, and I like it too, and I do. To be fair, I wouldn't include. I thought I'm okay with Sonic Boom and Monster, but you do see those ones a lot on these lists, right? You do see those a lot, but that's about it. Everything we included plus Sonic Boom and Monster. Mike, which you included. That basically covers it. There's nothing else. Asylum gets a little bit of stick, I notice here and there, right? But other than that, I mean, none of us included Dynasty. I had it at number 6, but I don't see Dynasty anymore out there, and I see Unmasked moving up on people's charts too, right?
I mean, people. I mean, the thing is with Dynasty, if you take "I Was Made for Loving You" out of the equation, because I think that's what it is. And I mean, in the production of it, of course, it's got that, very compressed guitars. The guitars aren't like bright and brashy. They're very kind of subdued. But man, there's so many good songs on Dynasty. I mean, Sure Know Something, Magic Touch, 2 Paul songs that are great.
Even like X-Ray Eyes. That's
X-Ray
great.
Eyes.
I like Dirty Living even.
Dirty Living 100 Times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of really good songs. I mean, it would it have benefited from like a different production? Those are if you did the production from a Love Gun or a Rock and Roll Over on those are the same type of songs, right?
There's a little bit of like downtown New York Dolls on both Unmasked and Dynasty. I think there's a little bit of that downtown Manhattan street vibe to some of those power poppy songs, right? It's very charming. It's really cool. It's really cool what they did there.
Well,
but as kids, we hated them. We were gone.
Yeah,
we were off in another direction.
Right? What's interesting now, like Paul's doing this project Soul Station, right? Which is like, basically he's doing a lot of R&B stuff and covers, and he's written some originals. I haven't listened to any of it. I'm afraid to be honest with you.
Man, I told you to watch that video.
Yeah, I'm afraid because I know Paul is, he's been my favorite member of KISS for many years, and all he does now is just really disappoint me. So
yeah, he's
further.
Well, Rockstar should stay out of politics for one. But
well, yeah, but that being said, there's a lot of that. If you listen to Unmasked, aware of what he's doing now, you hear a lot of that R&B, like Easy as It Seems. There's a lot of his influences, those R&B influences coming out in those types of songs, Shandy and so on. You know what I mean? But you can hear that in there.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think it's more power pop, right? I think it's more like downtown Manhattan, Lower East Side.
You guys don't hear that?
Okay. When you listen to some of the Soul Station stuff, I don't think you'll be saying that.
Okay. Maybe it's because I haven't heard it.
I gotta say this though, just because I found it really funny. Well, not funny, but I think I may have told you this story, maybe not. So I played my wife the official single off of the Soul Station album. She had no idea what kind of music it was. I said, "This is Paul's other project that he's doing. I want you to check it out. Tell me what you think." Within 40 seconds of the song starting, she burst out laughing. And I'm like, "What?" And she was laughing so hard. And I'm like, what, right? So that's all I'm gonna say. But that's why I was saying watch the video and tell me what you think.
Well, she was laughing at the video, not the music, the video part of it.
No, music and
the video.
And video. I mean, that's just her. There are people who love it. I mean, I've heard a couple of podcasts of people saying that they can't wait for Paul Stanley to bring this band to their town, and they'll be first in line to go see it. You know, I
Mike,
don't know.
what do you know about Paul's art career?
I know that I think I painted better stuff when I was in grade 4. Sorry, Paul. I love you, but man, like I just and I'm not the only one who thinks this.
He's making bank on those paintings.
He's sold some of his paintings for millions, and I'm just like, hey, all the power to him. But I just, I whatever. Hey, it's great that he has another hobby outside of music, and it's still in the arts and everything, and
it's interesting what's sort of coming to light over time, right? Because most people that aren't Kiss fans sort of outside the periphery, they're Kiss, that's Gene Simmons. It's all Gene Simmons, and he's making all the decisions and making all the calls. It's not Gene Simmons, it's Paul Stanley. Nothing happens in Kiss without Paul Stanley's approval. He tells, and there's a story where I've heard from insiders. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Where Gene came out one time on it. I think what tour was it? It might have been the Monster tour, where Gene's always coming out with a different bass, and then generally what happens is he'll play a bass that someone's given him, sign it, and sell it at the end of the show. Well, he came out with a bass, and it was orange. And Paul Stanley said to him at the end of the show, "I never want to see you with that bass on stage again, because it clashes with the whole look of the show and everything else and whatever." Like, Paul runs the show. Paul is Kiss, at the end of the day. And unfortunately now in interviews and stuff like that, you're starting to see that kind of bubble to the surface, and you kind of see Gene. It's, and encounters that I've had with Kiss. I mean, I've met Gene a couple of times. And Gene is a character, and he's got quite the ego and whatever. But at the end of the day, Gene's with fan encounters and stuff like that, the meet and greets and stuff like that, Gene sticks around to the very end.
Yeah,
Gene makes sure everybody got their whatever you brought signed, your album or whatever, got your photos, and when everybody's happy, that's when Gene leaves. Paul leaves. Paul leaves when it's done.
Yeah. I gotta say that if it was up to Gene, they wouldn't have had a painter opening for them on the End of the Road tour.
Yeah, what was that about? Yeah, ridiculous.
It was just so awkward. Like, even as a fan, just it was weird.
Did you feel bad? I felt bad for the painter guy. It's like, how are you gonna?
Yeah, it was. I can't even think of something to compare to. It was just so awkward.
Well, remember we used to joke about, instead of having the painter, why don't you get another guy and make it like balloon puppets?
Yeah, have a puppet show. I think that would have been better.
Oh God. Anyways, all right. Any in wrapping, Martin? You were mentioning before we got on, you're working on a few things. Is there anything you want to mention before we wrap this up?
Well, there's a lot coming, but right now there's the Angel book went through a reprint. So I've got the Angel book still at martinpopoff.com. In about 3-4 days, I get Rebel Rouser, a Sweet user manual. So it's a book on Sweet. We're working on a few things with my UK publisher. The big one coming is the last of the Rush trilogy, right? So we've got Driven, Rush in the 90s and In the End, which I'll have at the end of March. So yeah, lots coming, but not lots going on right now. Actually, one last one that's at the printer. I forgot about this. Flaming Telepaths, Imaginos, expanded and specified. So this is all about, this is a crazy Imaginos, Blue Oyster Cult Imaginos related project. So it's a book with illustrations by me, coming from the printer as well. So yeah, martinpopoff.com for all these weird things.
Martin, could I ask you something, Martin?
Yeah, sure.
Would you ever consider doing one of your books in audiobook format?
Many of them are, and I actually did some myself, believe it or not. I did I 3 or 4 I read that are available at Zunior.com. I did the First Sabbath, I did the Blue Oyster Cult, I think I did the Priest, and some short ones. And then through ECW Press, my Toronto publisher, the Rush books, Limelight and Anthem, are out on audio. Motorhead came out on audio.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk
But all
about
I
this
can
off
remember.
show. But yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's something I'd definitely be interested in.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, that's all I can quite remember that are out on audio. And I did some short documents, these 99-cent things, through Zunior.com as well. But yeah, I read the Max Webster book in too. That's right. I did.
Yeah. Okay. I'd definitely be interested in some of these. So
cool. Thanks.
Yeah, put me on the list for the next Rush book. I bought your first 2 and they're amazing. So
cool. Thanks.
I have a link below for both the Contrarians, which is Martin's YouTube show. That link is below, and also martinpopoff.com if you want to check out one of Martin's books. I've got the 2 Rush ones, and they're fantastic. So, and I'm looking forward to the third one, as I said. Mike, what's going on with you, man?
Just waiting to play with my band again.
You and me both, yeah.
You know, it just really sucks. The last time we played together was in March.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that we've gone through a year of this, and it feels like it's been 10 years. And I think, you know, I've talked with other friends, any of the shows that we had booked for last summer that got switched to this coming summer are now going to be moved to 2022. So
yeah,
it's kind of, you know, I was hoping we'd have something to look forward to this summer, but it's looking less and less like that's going to happen. So
yeah, I think a big part of that is insurance, right? You know,
that too, yeah.
Because I mean, you know, you got to pay a crazy amount of insurance to insure the gig, and you know, because if all it takes is there to be an outbreak at a gig, and it's you know, a lot of people. Yeah, it's a mess. It's going to be a while yet, man.
So, Mike, who are your 3 biggest drum influences, do you think, of all time?
Okay, Neil Peart for sure. He's definitely up there. Daniel Adair from Nickelback. Whether you love him or hate him, I love that band. Great band. Cool. Fantastic drummer. Mike Mangini from Dream Theater. He's up there for me. Same with Mike Portnoy. Carter Beauford from
I don't know who that is.
Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
There you go.
Not a huge fan of Dave Matthews Band, but fantastic drummer. So yeah, I'd say those are, you know.
Cool.
How about you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
As a drummer? I don't deserve to have influences.
Okay. No, I just thought, you know. And I'm going to say John Bonham too. So.
Oh man, I was waiting for you to say Bonham. Come on,
yeah.
Gotta say Bonham.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, folks, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to support and help out the Guitar Hack channel and help me bring more shows like this, I have links below to Guitar Hack merch. I've got T-shirts, I've got mugs, I've got hoodies, all that good stuff. If you're interested in the Guitar Hack hats, people are asking me for hats. I now have hats through Spreadshirt. That link is also below. If you'd like to do a PayPal, that'd be also much appreciated. Also, I have an Instagram, and I also have a Facebook and a Guitar Hack group. All the links are below, and there's an email if you like to get a hold of me for anything. So much appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I want to thank you guys for being on the show. I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a good week. I can't let you know what's happening next week because I'm still waiting on word on that. Don't you love doing these shows? But when I get word, I will post it. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.